Okay, example number 2. The first thing that I want to do is make sure that I have 0 on the right-hand side of my inequality. So I need to get all the terms on one side. So I'm going to subtract x, and I'll also subtract 3. And so my inequality is greater than or equal to 0. So when I relate this to the graph, I'm really thinking about where's the graph above the x-axis. I want to be able to solve it algebraically. So when I look at this, I have 4 terms, so I might as well investigate, is it factorable by grouping? So I look for that GCF of the first 2 terms, pull out that x squared. That leaves me with x plus 3. Look at the second pair of terms, and I can pull out a GCF of 1. Remember, the symbol that's in front of that third term is going to drop down. And then if it is grouping, the parentheses should always match up. Now always distribute this negative in your head. Make sure that it matches the line above it. That will just save you from making any sign errors. I'm going to put what's in front of the parentheses in their own parenthesis, and I'll put that common parenthesis. And I have the difference of 2 squares that I can factor. And now I want to find those critical values, those critical points, those zeros, those roots. I'm going to set each factor equal to 0 and get x by itself. When I plot these solutions on the number line, I look at the inequality symbol that was in the problem. And this was greater than or equal to. So because that inequality symbol is or equal to, I'm going to do closed circles at each of these 3 solutions that I found. So very aggressive, bold, closed circle. Then I am going to divide my number line into parts. So you can do little dashed vertical lines if you want. And you want to test a number that is in each region. Doesn't matter what number that you test. So for example, when I test a number over here, I'm going to test -4. But you could have plugged in -5 or -8. Any number that's in that region, you're good. Now, I like to plug it into the factored form. So when I plug -4 in, I'm plugging it into where you see my cursor hovering. And again, I don't care about the value. I just care about the sign. Is it going to give me a positive or negative number when I plug it into that factor? If I plug -4 in, -4 plus 3 is going to give me a negative. -4 minus 1 is another negative, and -4 plus 3 will also give me another negative number. So I don't have to write down the particular number. I just care big picture. Is it positive or negative? And if I have an odd number of negative numbers that I'm multiplying together, my end result is going to be negative. On the number line in that region, I'm going to mark it up with negative symbols. And then I go to my next region to test. So in here, I'm going to plug in -2. Again, I'm plugging it into that factored form. So -2 plus 1 is going to give me a negative. -2 minus 1 is another negative. And -2 plus 3, now that would give me a positive number. When I multiply a negative times a positive, I'm going to get a positive result. So on that region on my number line, I'll mark it up with plus signs. The next region, I'm going to plug in 0. And so when I plug 0 in, I'm plugging it into that factored form. So 0 plus 1, 0 minus 1, and 0 plus 3. And when I multiply those together, I'm going to get a negative number. The last region, I'm going to pick a number in there, and I'm going to plug in 2. So again, I plug it into that factored form. So 2 plus 1, 2 minus 1, and 2 plus 3. And I multiply those together, and I get a positive number. So I can mark it up on my number line with positive symbols, plus signs. When I answer the question, I'm not done yet. I want to answer, where is this function greater than or equal to 0? What does it mean to be greater than or equal to 0? It means that you're positive. So I look back at my sign graph here, and where I had plus signs, that's my solution. That's where I'd want to shade. And so on the number line, I'd have from -3 to 1 and from 1 to infinity. And when you relate it back to the graph, which you can always do, where was that graph above the x-axis and including those x-intercepts? So you can always check with that graph. So there I'll shade in my solution on the number line. I'll write my final answer. So bracket -3 comma -1 bracket union bracket 1 comma infinity and a cloud around it.